Hello and welcome to part 2 of the trial version setup. Now, at this point, we should have downloaded IC3D, we've taken a look at the welcome screen, and we've made sure that we can actually get into our application. Now, the next step of this is always going to want to be the Preferences menu. Now, to find the Preferences menu, that's going to be over in Edit, Preferences. Our preferences menu contains a lot of helpful things that we're going to want to frequently. No. Once you're inside of our preferences menu, the first thing you're going to see is the general tab. From here, we can change language from any type of language that we would like from the list. And of course, if you do want to change your language, you will need to restart IC3D. The next one is the units. The system units by default should be in metric, which is the millimeter. Now, if we wanted to change this over to inches, which is imperial, all we have to do is switch this over to imperial and hit save. We should note that in the transform window, our units of measurement should change from millimeters to inches. Now, we have software updates. From here, we can check for updates at the startup, which I recommend leaving at default, but you can change this to any kind of manual, daily, weekly, or monthly. And of course, if you want to see that welcome screen, you can go ahead and check this on startup. Now, I don't recommend that after the first couple times, so I like to keep this unchecked. Since IC3D embeds the artwork inside of the IC3 file, we don't want to auto-save for you, so we've introduced save reminders that will go ahead and just let you know when to save every 15 by default, but this can be customized to any amount of time. From there, we can move over to our next tab, Registration. Now, inside of the Registration tab, this is extremely helpful for us when you guys submit a support ticket. This is extremely helpful to us when you guys submit a support ticket, as we're able to help you that much faster, instead of asking for your license number and then checking our system to make sure and verify who you are. And again, your first name, last name, email, company, and any of the below will go a long way to help us out identify what license you guys are and what we can do to help. Moving on, we've got a more crucial part of the preferences menu, and that's our 3D options. Our texture quality slider, as it says right here, this is dependent on the graphics card in your computer. Higher texture sizes will improve the quality of text and small detail, but may in turn make the interaction less responsive. By that I mean, high-res render is going to be your crispest, highest resolution for that artwork, but it will be the slowest in terms of the artwork connection. Preview being the lowest, but fastest for artwork connection. So my recommendation is always start in preview, and when you're ready to render, bump that up to high res so that you can quickly mock up anything that you need, and then when ready, get that full resolution for the final render. Now, of course, that comes with high-res texture size. 4096 is recommended, as some graphics cards may fail or cause slower performance of other programs that use video texture memory at sizes higher than 4096. On my computer, I tend to stick with 4096 unless I'm really trying to get an extremely large 16K image out on the web or printed out on a billboard. So by default, if you're unsure, keep to 4096. That's going to be our 4K resolution, which is perfect for any kind of web render. I like to check compressed textures for higher speed, as that will only benefit you and will allow you to render slightly faster and more efficiently. Moving down, we've got our environment background quality. Now, the background quality I like to set to high quality, as my machine is a little better than most, but note that using a higher quality background textures may slow down or lock your graphics card if not enough texture memory is available. Selecting a higher quality may not display an environment at that quality unless the selected environment was imported with enough resolution to support the selected quality. By default, I like to keep it at standard quality, but of course, when I'm doing a slightly higher resolution image, I'll bump that up to high quality. The next option inside of here is our RAS ray tracer options. Now, this is very important to set up, especially if you have a good GPU inside of your computer. Once inside your RAS ray tracer setup window, you're going to notice the RAS renderer type will be by default the Intel CPU renderer. Now, this is a very good renderer, but if you do have a GPU inside of your computer, you can utilize that. As you can see, my NVIDIA GPU option will appear, and if you have an AMD, you shall see an AMD GPU renderer. That should be in this list. Now, of course, you will also see the distributed rendering. This is for a separate thing called Shepherd and Sheep, and if you are interested in building your own render farm, you can contact your IC3D sales rep or visit our website for more information. Now from here though, we're going to want to go ahead and make sure the NVIDIA GPU or your GPU is selected for this. Now, if you don't have a good GPU or it's not on the list, the Intel CPU will handle it just fine. From here, we're keeping the max allowed resources at 80%. I like to keep at 4K. Now, of course, if you do need additional resolution, you can input that here. Adaptive sampling, we're going to want to keep that as fastest. That'll provide the most efficient renders with the fastest time. Now, of course, from there, we're going to go ahead and hit apply, and we're all set in that ray tracer menu. Now, of course, we do have a default ambient occlusion on startup. We're just going to want to make sure that's just checked, as that's a really nice way of adding subtle shadowing to the nooks and crannies of your models. From here, the next is a PDF branding image. The PDF branding image will allow you to change the exported PDF front cover. By default, it's set to IC3D, so if you'd like to change this to anything, you just need to open it up and find your image of a logo or any type of image that you'd like. Next, we have pathing. This will allow you to hook on multiple users of IC3D onto the same model or material library, meaning all you have to do is turn this option on and locate the same folder, and anytime any IC3D user with these options turned on and matching the same folder path as the other users, all of their materials and models will be shared, meaning if I create a new one or another user creates a new model or material, that will get beamed down to everybody's new material library and model library, allowing everybody to be on the same page and no discrepancies in the models or materials. The next option is the Render Manager option. Now, this will allow you to create an input or hot folder path that allows you to send renders to the Render Manager. Now, with that being said, we will not be covering that in today's video. I highly encourage checking out our Render Manager video. The next option is our renderer options. Now, depending on what type of renderer you're using, now this is the artwork renderer, we'll be using Adobe Illustrator by default. I'm going to be using Adobe Illustrator for today, so we're going to keep it at that. Heading over to our web option, this is actually where we can leave this alone. This allows us to hook onto our IC3D OPSIS cloud and allows us to upload models whenever we need. Now, from here, we're going to go ahead and hit save, and now we can get started inside IC3D. Now, the first thing I always like to do is make sure the AI connection is all set up and ready to go. To test the connection to Illustrator and make sure everything is connected, we're going to go ahead and grab the stand-up pouch template, drag that onto the scene. Now, any of the pouch or flexibles template is a very easy way to test this connection. As we don't have to check any of the options, we're just going to add this to the scene. And then from here, this should come with some artwork. We can see this here in the base artwork. So let's go ahead and hit that AI button, and that should open up our Illustrator version. Once this opens, and as I can see, this is looking perfect, let's go ahead and just make sure our connection now can be sent back to IC3D so that we can add artwork to our models. So I'm just going to go ahead and just add a quick, maybe a box, and some lorem ipsum text just to see some artwork connection. And then from here, we're going to have to open up the IC3D Renderer V5. That's version 5. Now this can be found over in the Window option, going over to Extensions, and inside of here you're going to see that you should have Extended Warp Mesh options and IC3D Renderer V5. The Renderer V5 is what we're looking for, so we're going to select that option. And this window here will allow us to now update whenever we need and whenever we have all of our artwork set up and ready to send back to IC3D. So since we're just doing a quick test connection, let's go ahead and hit update and make sure that everything sends over. As I can see here, I've got that up-to-date status, so let's head back to IC3D, and that's looking perfect. So this tells me that my artwork connection is ready to go, so from here I can get started with modeling, rendering, or what I recommend is checking out our Render Manager setup video. It's going to allow you to use the ray tracer, which is our high-quality photorealistic viewport. My name's Adam Chop, and again, thank you so much for downloading our trial, and I hope you enjoy IC3D as much as I do. Now, if you have any questions at all, you should be able to hit our support line. That's just support@creativeedgesoftware.com. We will always be able to help you out as long as you've got an active license.